So now, having understood the whole process of funding, now let's understand how investors think. And over years of my experience, and I've dealt with so many investors in my career, okay, and today now many investors have become friends. In fact, now in many cases, we are the panel of investors, so we sit along with the investors to judge the projects, okay, and to help investors to qualify the projects or to get good projects for them. So we have seen both, we have been on the other side. At least I have been an entrepreneur trying to raise funds, and I also been on the investor side trying to help investors to get projects, good projects for the entrepreneurs. Okay, and a lot of our investors have become friends. We discuss, we hear, and now over the years, whatever I could gather how investors think is something which I built here, and I would want to share this with you, all of you. Yeah. The first thing, when you're going to go to an investor for a pitch, the first thing he is going to think about you as an entrepreneur and as a team. I mean, you and a co-founder, a team. Okay. And his mind starts thinking that how do I feel about working with this team for next 4-5 years? Because for next 4-5 years, as long as he is there in the organization with you or his investment is there, obviously he has to work with you. So he has to feel good about you, right? He has to feel proud about being associated with you, isn't it? Yeah, he should, because he is taking you as a partner, right? So as a partner, he should be feeling proud about his partner. If he has to introduce you in some forum, in some conferences, in some seminar, or in the gathering somewhere, he should not be feeling shy, but he should be feeling proud about you being a part of the portfolio company, isn't it? So your personality, the way you carry yourself, the way you're projecting, the way you're talking, whatever is something which is going to be very, very important for him to assess how you come forth. Yeah, and that's very important. Very, very important. Team is extremely important for an investor. How this team is, their knowledge. Yeah. So let me bring in Niren at this point of time again, and let me ask Niren, and better hear from the investor himself. Niren, what do you look for in a team?
Typically, I would say that what I've realized is that the founder, co-founder are very, very important components of the team. So the people below do matter. So if they're really good or really bad, it does matter. But I would say that if you don't like the founder, co-founder, typically VCs will not really invest in that deal, because it's very hard to sort of tomorrow, what do you do, right? If that person is not working out, or as founder, he owns the company, he's running the company, what can you do? So I think that the founder and co-founder, especially if you're a founder looking for a co-founder, choose very wisely.
Right. So when it's a team, first of all, it's the importance of giving to the founder and the co-founder. The team working under you, of course, they would consider that also. But the entrepreneurs themselves, the promoters, okay, is extremely important for them.
The investors, do they see the age? They are working with the senior persons, or they are working with the young people. So do they see that also?
All right, okay. So let ask Niren about this. So Niren, how important is the age? Like, you just heard this question. Do you only fund youngsters, or are you open to fund someone with years of experience, but on the other side of 40 perhaps?
What's the right age, to get funded? I don't think there's any right or wrong age, but I would say that in general, probably a couple of years after your college, right, is sort of the bottom end of where most people get funded, all the way up to probably, I would say, your early 40s or so. That would be the sort of big part. Now, have I seen people, I have a couple of friends actually who got funded when they were 55, and I've seen an 18-year-old kid who's actually doing an exceptional job as well. So it's not like, again, hard or fast. But I would say that yes, the early, 28, 29 is a really good age, because you got some experience, you're able to work hard, you probably don't have too much family, you're sitting there till 2 o'clock at night, you're sleeping in the office if required. So there are certain sweet spots in this. You got that energy, you got that experience. Of course, as you go to your 40s, you learned a lot in life, and some of that helps cut down those learnings as well. So there's big benefit of that. And of course, at 23, you have no care in the world, and all you're doing is a startup, right? So I don't think there's any right or wrong answer, but those are sort of the ranges in which we find a lot of companies. We're looking for passion, we're looking for energy, we're looking for experience, we're looking for, abilities in that 1 hour that we're meeting you for your pitch. right? We're trying to assess a lot of things. How does this person think? Is he insightful? Is he street smart? Is he intelligent? Does he have experience? Has he worked in startups before? Can he, has he understood enough about what the VC is doing? Like you're sitting here right now is helpful, right? And does he really understand, he or she understand that, what is their product market fit? Do they have the right type of team? Have they really thought through all their problems? Are they coming up with solutions? Sometimes we quiz them. Sometimes we sort of give them difficult, questions, and we're not really looking at what the answer is. We're looking at how do they react under pressure. So, you have to keep in mind that again, part of this is about trying to find the best team in a market which is growing, in a company which can sort of make a lot of money, and then you're sort of looking at it from a real 7-year perspective, right? And so we're trying to do a lot of that in the first meeting.
So, like Niren said, age really doesn't matter, really speaking, for them. Okay. Let me also ask one more investor. Let me get Anirudh. Anirudh, do you as an investor have a bias towards any age, or you are ready to fund anybody?
I think age is one of those things that gets hyped about and talked about a lot. But really, actually, if you look at the underlying reason why investors are investing behind entrepreneurs, is not so much the age, because you have entrepreneurs from every age, like 21, 22, all the way till 44, 45, even probably not much older than that. But largely, like, the factors we're looking for is energy, enthusiasm, ability to like persevere and persist in a certain market. And in some cases, experience is very valuable in a certain space, and in some spaces it's actually the energy and the enthusiasm and the ability to persist for longer, which sometimes, in today's environment, sometimes younger people have because they have fewer things holding them back. But in many industries, prior experience in a particular industry, or just general work experience, actually is much more helpful in building a longer term sustainable business. So to be honest, if you would ask me, I don't have any age bias per se, but more that the entrepreneur has to be the right guy for that business that they're trying to build.
Great. So, so age, again, like Anirudh said, they don't have a bias. Generally, we have seen that investors don't have a bias towards particular age or your seniority or how young you are. It's all about your attitude. If your attitude, your spirit is young, okay, like, repeatedly, like if you notice what Niren said and even Anirudh said the same thing, there should be a lot of energy, enthusiasm, okay. If that spirit is there, young, spirit is there with you, then I think age doesn't matter. And there are a number of cases we have seen where even at the sort of 50, people have got funded, yeah. And so even like even at my age today, I keep raising funds and I have never found any challenge. And no investor asked me that, you are 50 plus, can you start? I can start. So if you're able to showcase that, if you're able to demonstrate that you have enough energy, excitement, okay, like a young, youthful, then I think they are open to fund you.
I have a question. Why do IITs and IIMs get funding very easily as compared to other?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And I would ask, rather bring Niren again. So Niren, why is it that, it's IIMs and IITs, they get funded so easily? Or is it wrong to think on that?
Why are the IITs and IIMs, students getting so funded? I think it's interesting. I think what has happened is that if you look at Silicon Valley, right, a lot of great startups have come out of some of the top schools like Stanford, right, technology schools, etc. You'll see a lot of people have come out of there. So initially, I think a couple of years ago, a few people funded some IITs and IIM guys, right, and overall that, I would say in general, they have done well. Right? Because of course, keep in mind, to get into an IIT or to get into an IIM, it's really difficult. So you have to be a really good guy, very bright, very smart. IIMs have group discussions, etc., etc. So you have to get a certain level to be there, right? Now, I would say that there's no hard and fast rule. So sometimes what happens is what I call the flavor of the day, right? So right now, for sure, there are a lot of guys who are IIT, IIM, and there's a halo. But I think they very much deserve it. I'm not from there, but they very much deserve it. At the same time, I would say that there is no real bias when you come to us for a pitch, right? If you have IIT, IIM, we look at them as good and very strong academic qualifications, but there is no bias saying he's IIT, IIM, let me fund him. If we were to go by that, there are thousands and tens of thousands of people who are from IIT, IIM. Every single person will get funded. They don't, right? So yes, today there is a little more of a halo because some of them and a lot of them have done well and they're proven. right? But at the same time, I think when people are doing new deals, they definitely look at those set of individuals. One additional sort of qualification is that you are from a great school. That great school need not be an IIT or an IIM. That's one additional factor. But I don't think that there is, this whole thing about only IITs, IIMs and all that. No. I don't think that's happening.
Great. So it's a myth, like you said, and so that's a halo. And trust me, guys, that halo is now gradually getting dimmed away. Okay, a lot of ventures started by IITians has started showing decline. Okay, so investors realize that it's not necessary to be an IITian, and I'm not an IITian or IIM. Okay, one case where I every time raised money. Okay, and I've never been an IIT and IIM. So don't worry, if you're not an IIT and IIM, it's not that you won't be get funded. So let me even bring in Anirudh and take his opinion. So Anirudh, how important is for you is the qualification or a pedigree of the entrepreneur?
See, qualification to me, or like educational pedigree, things like that, of firms that you have worked at prior to doing your startup, are simply an indicator of the fact that you've been successful at something before. And the fact that you've been successful at something before doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be successful again. Similarly, on the reverse, on the other hand, if you've not worked at a top consulting firm or a top bank or a top engineering firm or tech firm, doesn't mean that you can't succeed. And there are tons of examples. So for me, pedigree is only so important to say, okay, fine, this person has worked hard, has succeeded, has figured out what it took to succeed in a certain environment. And I'd give that person that much credit for that. But to me, that is not sufficient to say that, oh, let me invest in this person now. Similarly, the reverse, if you don't have that, that doesn't mean we won't look at you or invest in you. It's just that you have to prove to me that you will be able to find what it takes to succeed and then do what it takes to succeed.
So again, like and nicely put, your past success does not mean that guarantee that you'll continue to succeed. You can fail, and a past failure is again not a guarantee that you will this time fail again. So you may bound to succeed. Yeah. So the qualification really is not one of the entire criteria. Of course, what I understand is, and you should know, is one of the criteria, and there are so many different parameters on which you are judged or your project is judged. Now, one parameter could be qualification, okay, or your pedigree or degree or whatever, whether you are from IIT, IIM or any premium institution or what you. But if you are scoring low on that, but if your other scores are definitely good, then you don't have to worry at all. Let me ask Mahesh. Let me bring in Mahesh again. Mahesh, even you disagree that the point that IIMs and IITs get funded easily?
I don't know if they get funded easily or not. I mean, we have no bias for or against IIM and IIT students. But it just so happens that out of the 35 companies we funded, not one is an IIT IIM. So, there's no bias for or against. We don't particularly, as a fund, don't particularly care about your degrees and your postgrads. I myself am a 12th class pass. I think it's a little crazy for me to expect you to be an IIT IIM, and I just have done a 12th class pass myself. In some other cases, what might happen is actually with many of the overseas funds, their staff in India has been hired from IIT IIM, and they tend to fund their classmates and their juniors because they come from sources. Somebody in the Alumni Association has put them through. So somebody in the Alumni Association, typically IIT IIM guy funding another IIT IIM guy, but that's, I don't know again for what it might just be the ease of network, or somebody recommended him through the network. That's happened in those cases. But we are not an IIT IIM fund. Neither me nor my partners are from are from IIT IIM. So we don't have any such bias.
So in fact, yes, I mean what Mahesh shared, and so in fact one of the things that is working for these guys is the strong alumni. IIMs and IITs, they have very, very strong alumni, and they tend to kind of help each other, and so perhaps those guys get funded, because their alumni supports them to raise funds from other people. So that's where it works for them definitely. Yeah. So having understood one thing is clear now: qualification, or at least your IIT IIM degree, not important. Okay, I mean important, but not necessarily it becomes a hindrance for raising fund. Age, definitely not a hindrance. Yeah, what they look for is a good entrepreneur. Simple. When I say good, it doesn't mean that, sir, I'm very honest, sir. I'm not going to, not that good. I mean, the good in the sense for their definition of good is, yeah, street smart. Okay, the person who can execute. I think the biggest thing they were looking for is that a person, an entrepreneur who can execute that idea. Clear? If it's a sole one person, I mean, if it's a one-man army, okay, if you're starting a business with as a single founder, yeah, then generally they have a little tendency that एक अकेला बंदा कितना कर पाएगा? How much can he do? Okay, what all things he can do? Okay, so many investors I have noticed they have little concern, not bias, but little concern about one-man army. Okay, not necessarily they don't fund such people, but I'm saying they may have a little concern. If you're a single person, then you be prepared to answer or at least give them enough confidence that you can pull off. You alone can pull off. Okay, especially in a technology dependent businesses. Okay, if you don't understand technology, then the question will definitely come in the investor's mind, how are you, if you don't have a partner who's not technologically savvy, how are you going to run the business, where your business is so much dependent on technology? Yeah, so that's definitely one question they'll have. So let me bring in Niren again, and let me ask Niren, because he's seen so much. Niren, what's your take on single owner company?
So we like single founders. There are a lot of people who don't like single founders and a lot of people who really like single founders. So let me give you the reasons for that. There have been in this market, especially in India, we found that, look, in certain cases, single founders are found it very difficult to scale early on, right? Because they're just one of them, they're running in 20 different directions, they don't have all the skills, and therefore some people don't like them. On the other hand, people have seen two founders, real tigers, amazing guys, went and just kept fighting. Became babies. Really mature people became babies, right? So they're saying, listen, sometimes let's get a founder. So someone has told me that, listen, the best answer is a founder who is a little senior and another founder is a little junior. That could be a great combination. So listen, I've seen everything work. Like I said, back to the thing, there's no hard and fast rule. I think when there are two founders, typically taking less salary, running at the same time, it's easy, but the chemistry has to be tight. If there's one founder, so we've done deals where we've done transactions where there's one founder, older, one founder who's younger, one founder who's older, who's the main guy, and a second co-founder who's younger, one founder who's sort of younger and the second co-founder is older, and we've done two equal co-founders. So there's no hard and fast rule.
Right? So, like Niren said, there's no hard and fast rule. Okay, they are open to. In fact, Niren said that he likes a single founder company. Yeah, and there are some people who may not like a single founder company. See, there's no rule. It's all about building that confidence and building that trust with the investor when you're going and pitching that I can do it, and that you should, if you're able to invoke that confidence in the investor, कि boss ये घोड़े में दम है. I mean, I can put my money on this, but that's the thing which you should be looking for. Yeah. Then the next question comes, if you have to take a co-founder, then let me ask again, Niren, then what do you look for in a co-founder?
So what we look for in co-founders, in co-founders, we're looking for a lot of cohesiveness and complementarity, right? So sometimes you could say that a 28-year-old and a 40-year-old might be a great set of co-founders, but they really need to be on the same page. What we're really looking for is that these two co-founders in future, right, they really understand each other. Maybe one is a techie, one is a business guy, right? One understands finance, the other one understands sales. We're looking for stuff together, but more than that, beyond the office, right? Beyond the work, they get along well, right? They're not going to sit then start fighting 2 years later, like, those Hindi movies or whatever, right? We're looking for something where, we see that chemistry. We see one guy is, very good on the intelligence side, the other guy keeps him real. Right, saying nahi, ye dhanda karne. One is the dhanda guy, So it's like, it's one of those things that chemistry also matters. I don't think it's academic. It's not like, oh, he's 40-year-old, he has experience, and he's 28 years old, he doesn't have this. No, we look for all of it, but there's no sort of hard and fast rule. But if you have co-founders, right, typically I would say that if you're doing a tech business, one good business guy and one good tech guy together, yeah, that's a great combination, because it's very hard if I'm a business guy, right? If I were to start a startup in the technology space, internet space, I don't have anyone who's a techie. That's not a good match, right? And again, I should get along with that person. We should have some chemistry. Sometimes he might be my friend. We get along. We've had debates, arguments, and we can still keep working together, right? That's good chemistry. It is a partnership. Even between your co-founders, it is really a partnership. So when you're looking for a co-founder or thinking about it, think through everything. Think through their educational qualifications, right? Supposing you're starting something in the financial technology space, fintech, right? Now you are a person who's done business, you understand technology, but you need someone from the banking and finance space, because that's the business you're doing. Does that person have domain, right? So you have to think through a plethora of things, saying, listen, let me find the right co-founder rather than find him or her in a hurry.
Right? So, of course, I mean, it's quite common sense that you should have a complementing skill sets of a co-founder. And what they want to see is that there's a chemistry between co-founder. Okay. And if the co-founder is a male and female, then chemistry is related to business, not other chemistry. ओके नहीं तो या बोले सर ने बोला था तो चल चालू करते केमिस्ट्री ओके और केमिस्ट्री में से बायोलॉजी कभी आ जाता है मालूम नहीं पड़ता so you have to stick to the chemistry alone and not a biology. So can I go of course what you're looking for is something which that the relationship between two partners should be very good even if they quarrel, even if झगड़ा भी होता है, but then it should not be affecting business. Okay, conflict happens, issues sorted out, and they are back into business. Not that they between the two warring partners, the business starts suffering, and which we have seen many times, right? Many times, good businesses getting collapsed because of partners at a war with each other, and obviously, then who is the loser? Biggest loser is going to be the investor. So they don't want such kind of partners. They want to see a good chemistry between both these people. Age, qualification, perhaps doesn't matter. Complementing skills is something which is important for them. Okay.
अगर एक ही फैमिली में से है,
Yeah.
से ब्रदर है दो,
Yeah.
या फादर एंड सन और डॉटर
Yeah,
एंड फादर
yeah,
वगैरह,
yeah.
तो उसकी इम्पैक्ट इन्वेस्टर पे क्या पड़ती है?
Nothing. They'll see still as that if the relationship are good, and if it's not going to affect. So let's say if it's a daughter and a father, and if daughter is going to get married and go away, then it will affect the business, of course. So basically, as an investor, they have to see and protect their interest. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter much. Okay. If there are two brothers, it's okay as long as they are getting on along very nicely.
And father and son?
That's also okay.
Okay, same.
Yeah. I've seen, in fact, I've seen one of the projects getting funded where father of, I think, around 60 age and son, around 30, 35 or whatever, and they get it funded nicely. I mean, they got good funding.
Sir, what about husband-wife?
If it's so close relationship like husband-wife, okay, whatever happens within the family, let's say, as an example, if there's किसी की death हो गई, both the people have to go. शादी है घर पे किसी की, I mean फैमिली में शादी है, both the husband and wife has to be there. 15 दिन का धंधा के वाट लग गई, होता है ना ये. So investor will think all that it is going to affect both. Okay, let's say one person gets कोई बीमार पड़ गया, hospitalized हो गया, now the spouse has to take care, धंधे को इफेक्ट हो रहा है. So not a good combination, really, unless he sees that both of them really can contribute. Just for the sake of business, my wife is a partner or my husband is a partner, then they don't like that. Clear? Then, so if there are two people, okay, and especially like you heard Dhiren saying that if it's one from the business expert, okay, and one from the technical side, then it's a very good combination from investor's point of view. So let's say if your business is jewelry or if a business in footwear or business is food, then somebody who understands that business, food or a jewelry or a footwear or a fashion or whatever, then of course you require one domain expert. You require one expert on that business. At the same time, you require some other person to be expert from the technology side. And these two combination becomes a lethal combination, superb combination. If there are three people, okay, and if again three coming from different skill sets, one business expert, one technical background, and one from creative side, okay, then superb combination. Especially American investors, they give a lot of importance to creativity. And like we know that they understood in UX also, that by 2020, UX is going to be one of the biggest differentiators. Yeah. So somebody who is more creative, who has got that, I think right or left side of the brain, whatever. Okay. So one is very analytical, one is business side, one is technical side. Okay. More engineering kind of a background, and one from the creative side, soft skills. Okay. Who understands the graphics, the color, all at the softer side, but very important in the business. Then for investors, this becomes an ideal combination. Yeah. If there are four people, definitely not good for investors. And उसमें भी अगर चार लोग all business expert है, okay, so कई बार ऐसा होता है चार दोस्त मिलके from the same industry, they चलो धंधा चालू करते हैं. So here in this clip, I have shown a designer as a female. Okay, doesn't mean that you start looking for a female designer. अरे वो स्लाइड में सर ने को लड़की दिखाया था, अपने को लड़की ढूंढना पड़ेगा पर ओके. नॉट नेसेसरी द क्रिएटिव पर्सन हैज टू बी फीमेल. अ मेल क्रिएटिव पर्सन ऑल्सो विल बी ओके, अ फीमेल टेक्निकल पर्सन वुड बी ओके. क्लियर है? हाँ, नहीं तो ऐसा होता है, अरे सर आपने उसे लड़की मिल नहीं रही है. अरे मेरा वो फोटो ऐसे ही डाला था मैंने. नाउ अगर 4 लोग हैं तो डेफिनेटली इट्स अ नॉट गुड साइन फॉर इन्वेस्टर्स. Okay, you'll have to do solid work with the investor to really convince him, because 4 people coming together and उसमें भी अगर 4 बिजनेस वाले हैं, ओके, सब चारों बिजनेस दिमाग लगाते हैं तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के चांसेस बहुत हाई होते हैं और उसमें धंधे की वाट लगती है. या एंड इफ देयर आर 5 people, absolutely no, investor will not, I don't think they're going to ever fund.